What's going on, guys? So I just want to go over a few simple tips on winterizing the Nautilus system. I'm going to try and keep this short and sweet because I imagine a lot of people who are watching this video are having trouble getting antifreeze into the inlet port, and I'm going to kind of cover why that happens as well as a few other tips here. So with this Nautilus system, it makes things pretty simple. You can change the valves to do different things, such as filling your tank, running city water, or winterize or sanitize from this same port. But that can come with some complications, if you will. Now, the main issue people have with this system is you'll set your valves to what your label states is winterize mode, which means that you're supposed to be able to hook up a hose right here and draw antifreeze from a jug into the system. Problem is they turn the pump on and start drawing and nothing happens. Now, first things first, if you have pressure in the system, like if you were blowing air through the system and closed all your valves, the pump's not going to activate until you depressurize the system. So you'd have to open a faucet or something, make sure your pump is running. But even still, you'll find that antifreeze does not want to go in here. And I'll find a lot of people, and even technicians, and I've been guilty of it too, will actually just opt for accessing the pump and hooking up to the pump as normal, when the real problem is the check valve in here. What I mean is, there is a check valve inside of here. The reason that check valve is in there is if you were in dry camping mode, running off of your water pump, so let's put it back there, and the system was pressurized with the water pump, water would just fly out of here if you didn't have a check valve. Now, when you go to winterize, that can be problematic, if you will, because the pump doesn't usually provide enough suction to actually depress that check valve, and thus it will not draw antifreeze. So the trick is to remove your screen, which that nipple is usually facing outward, like so. Remove your screen, flip it around, and push it in. Now, I'm not going to push it in because there's pressure in the system and I'm going to get soaked, but once you push that in, it will help depress that check valve, which again will allow you to actually get in there or allow it to depress so that antifreeze can flow through. So that's the main trick to winterizing these systems. I wish I knew that a lot sooner in my career, because I spent a lot of time struggling with that, and when I found out and saw somebody else do it, I felt kind of stupid, like how did I miss that? So that's the main thing I want to talk about. And then one more tip as far as winterizing these systems is going to be your valve configuration. Now, obviously you have a winterized configuration, which on this system would be like so, but remember, there is a big series of valves here. There's a bunch of different fittings, and you want to make sure you get all the water out of all of those and get antifreeze into them. So the biggest trick is to create the X, especially when blowing out or using antifreeze. So while blowing out, I will always, during that process, turn all the valves to about their halfway point between one point and another, and kind of creating this pattern. It may look a little different on yours, so the best way to describe it again is not all the way in one position, kind of in between both positions. This will allow it to make sure that air or antifreeze is flowing through all of them, and sometimes I'll even just kind of flip back and forth between them, and you'll hear some movement back there, whether it's air or antifreeze, which means you're putting antifreeze or air in places that they did not exist before. So remember that one as well, and the main one again being the check valve. And then just to throw one more bonus tip in here for you, and this tip will apply to anybody who has a black tank flush, not necessarily just with a Nautilus system. That is a very commonly missed part of winterization. Now, you don't need to get antifreeze in here, I'll be honest, but you do want to blow it out. So after you're done blowing out your system, put your adapter on here, give it a couple spurts of air, make sure you get all the air or water out of that system, and most importantly out of the check valve, which is usually located somewhere in the coach, like in the bathroom, somewhere midway between here and the tank. I see that one missed quite often, and we find a lot of cracked check valves come springtime. So don't skip your black tank flush. And most importantly, if you want to see more tips, tricks, and even some tours and reviews with RVs and RV products, make sure you guys press that subscribe button.